Hey, 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 what is going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Green Room Life, episode number 2, Green Room Life. I don't know if I got cut off starting a little early, but yeah, welcome, everybody. This is our second episode of this new series called Green Room Life for the third time. We're really excited because today we're going to be talking about something that is so crucial to one's success, not only in life and business, all different areas of life, health, relationships. This is really going to encompass a lot of different areas, right? And what we're going to be talking about today is routines. So, really exciting because, routines can either make us or break us. And, the times I've been at the tippity top, Mr. Successful, and then the times I've been at the bottom where it's like I just feel like I'm not motivated. I'm not getting anywhere. It's all routine. So I'm Steve Raiken. You guys probably already know me since we're hosting this on my channel, but say hello to my co-host. What's going on?
What's up, guys? The Bonafide Hustler. That's me.
Who are you, man? Tell everybody a little bit about you real quick.
Oh, my name is Chris. I go by the Bonafide Hustler. I've had a YouTube channel for the past 4 years. I teach on my YouTube channel how to flip stuff for profit. We have a site called thegreenroomuniversity.com and a sub-site called Green Room Life, or a sub Facebook page. And basically, these shows that we do are a little bit more informal on Tuesdays as opposed to our Wednesday kind of like reselling and hustling type shows. But the Tuesday type shows are a little bit more informal, but more geared towards Green Room Life, like bettering yourself, motivation, health things like that.
So I was running a little late to get to this podcast because speaking of routines, I kind of got caught up in one of my workout routines, and I looked at the clock and I'm like, holy mackerel! Like I've got to like get a smoothie and get back to my house as soon as possible. But I was driving back and I was thinking, I want people to let us know in the comments section, what do you think about us turning this into a podcast? I was driving here, Chris, and I'm like, why don't we start uploading this and like make this like little Green Room Life like a podcast, and people could download it and have it right on their iPod or their iPhone or whatever when they're out and about hiking or something. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? What do you think, Chris, about that?
Did you just say iPod? Who still uses an iPod anyway? Yeah, I mean, it would be a great idea. I think, let's just take it one step further. Why don't we just get a syndicated show on television? Let's just sell this to Netflix, dude. See if they take it. No, but honestly, like, we live in a world of, right now, and usually right now means a lot of times maybe you're not in front of the laptop. Maybe a lot of you guys are watching from the mobile. In fact, that's probably a perfect question for us is, how are you viewing this show? Are you viewing it off a cell phone, or are you viewing it maybe in a work computer or a laptop at home? Let us know. We want to know that kind of thing because that will ultimately determine whether maybe we do put it into a podcast or we do make it some other type of easily digestible type show that you can watch offline.
Hey,
maybe. Yo.
You know that YouTube actually gives us the analytics to know where they're coming from?
Oh, okay. Well, that's still. I mean, it's good to know. Like, we never asked that question. I think it'd be a really good thing.
No, I'm kidding. It is good to know. I think it's important because a lot of people don't think about this. They're content creators and they're not tailoring or customizing the content for who's viewing it. So I definitely think that's important. Chris, who do we have in the comments? Let's shout some people out, and then we'll dive into exactly what routines are and how to work really positive routines into our life and business.
Okay, so we have Z Squared, Soikun Pon, we have Hot Chick Thrift, we have Diane K, Hippie Picker. I see a lot of green roomers in here, honestly. We have Elizabeth Dugan, Good Used Goods, Stone Mason, Stephen Frederick, Trip Little. Yeah, we got a lot of people that have been in the comment feed actually before the show even started. So I was saying, hey, what's up to them? And we got Brock in the feed too, who, just give me a thanks to Brock, or shout out to Brock. He likes a lot of my Instagram posts, and I think either he's like on the brink of going like into heavy fitness or something. But anyway, thanks Brock for all the support on Instagram. I really do appreciate it. But you can check him out at the Orange Elephant 523. And in fact, I think there's a video going to hit my channel today or tomorrow, and he'll be on it on a ride along, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, Orange Elephant 523, otherwise known as Brock Parks. Okay, so let's get into the program, Raiken. We're going to talk about some routines and share some stuff, right?
Let's dive into it. Let's first talk about, for the people who are listening, and maybe they don't understand exactly what we mean by this. Like, what's in your eyes when somebody says the word routine? Like, what does that mean to you? What is a routine?
A routine to me is something that you do on a regular basis, and it's something that you do because you've built a habit on it. Does that make sense? Like, you can't call like, oh, I'm just going to try to lose weight tomorrow, so I'm going to get on a routine. A routine is typically something after you've achieved some sort of goal and you know that, how do I say it? Like, it's something that you won't break for anything. It's something that's just happening every day. And it's usually something productive. But I think, Raiken, a lot of people can get stuck in unproductive routines too, right? When we think about routines,
Yeah.
we're thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
things that really drive us forward. So like we don't ever see the other side of the mix, but
Like
we've had unprofitable, unrealistic routines all the
like
time, right?
like like for example, one thing that we've been working on, and we haven't been perfect because Chris and I are accountability partners behind the scenes with different aspects of life. And one routine that we both realized that we had was our night routine, right? When we used to go to bed later, like we used to go to bed like, well, I did sometimes 12, 1, 2 in the morning. And I realized quite quick that my routine pretty much after dinner from like 7 to like midnight typically was very unproductive. So one routine that we began to implement and doing pretty well at it lately, hasn't been perfect, but it's, we're definitely doing a lot better, is getting to bed earlier, because we realize, the earlier we're up, the more productive we are. And once we hit that certain time at nighttime, we get unproductive pretty quickly. Do you mind touching on that a little bit?
Yeah, I remember having this discussion with you a while back because I was getting kind of sick and tired of it. I was like noticing, I was like, you know what, from the hours of, let's say, 9 to 1 at night, I'd be up and I'd be, I could accomplish anything I want, but I would found myself doing very unproductive type stuff like surfing YouTube. And while it matters in the end because you have to do market analysis, and that's the reason why I watch some YouTube channels, is to see where the game is going, whether it's fitness or reselling. But there was a lot of, just really a bad use of time in general. But then if I woke up early, right, I started experimenting. I was like, if I wake up super early, then, if I started off with a workout, for example, then automatically like the day has started on a pretty positive note. So Raiken and I definitely have been doing that for quite a long time now. And like Raiken said, it's not perfect all the time, but as long as you're cognizant that that's the direction you need to be going all the time, then that's all that matters. Because how much has your profitability, I mean, not profitability, but your productivity gone up since
Oh yeah.
waking up early? I mean, it's
Yeah,
night and day. You couldn't even say it's gradual. It's like a night and day difference, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. It's been big for us. But I do want to say that was kind of our personalities, right? I know people, Chris, who they're most productive at nighttime. Like they love it. They're night owls. They get stuff done in the morning. They're kind of just lingering around. So I mean, I would take a look at your life, everyone who's listening, and ask yourself, when are you most productive, right? Do you find yourself kind of slowing down at nighttime, or do you find yourself revving up? I'd say it's different for everybody. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk about a little more about like routines and why a routine is important, right? Like, why can a routine make you or break you?
A routine can definitely make you, in the sense that if you find the right one that, like Reagan said, that you happen to like and love and embrace, then that's something that you probably will never break. But if you have one that's um, productive, like we've had, and you have to be able to be cognizant enough to recognize it and go, you know what, you have to be willing to experiment, just like we do with hustling and all that kind of stuff. We experiment with different things, different clothes, different goods. We experiment with our lives too. We experiment with different workouts. We switch up our workouts every 3 weeks or so. We are doing different things because there's certain times, like for example with fitness, like a routine, as in if you just did your same exercises for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it's less productive than switching it up every 2 to 3 weeks, for example, right? But then, a productive routine like waking up early, that's something that we can just do for the rest of our lives. And in fact, as human beings get older, human beings require less sleep. In fact, when you're older, 50s, 40s, you require 6 hours as opposed to sometimes 8. But but the pace that we're going and the amount of weight that we're pushing up in the gym, like I actually need 7 to 8. And so that was one of the reasons why, when I looked at my routine and Raiken looked at his routine, we decided like waking up early was the best possible way. I can't tell you how many like 8 a.m. conference calls we've been having twice a week. I like sunlight too, just like Raiken. If you watch his previous Periscopes and all that kind of stuff, he's out there riding his bike. He's out there jogging. Sunlight is very important to a human being's chi. You know what a chi? What I'm talking about, Raiken?
It's kind of like your
Your inner being.
spirit, your
Yeah.
energy.
So like if you are a night owl, for example, and you can, you're very productive from 9 to 2, which I used to be that. I used to be that during MBA school and everything. And then I woke up and I still did a full-time job. But what I realized is like when that 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock mark hit, I was so tired. And I can't tell you how much daylight I missed out on 2.5 years of my life. But that's just what happened because I was pretty productive at nighttime. Now I switched that up because if you would have asked me back then, hey, why don't you just wake up in the morning like at 5 in the morning and 6 in the morning? I'd be like, no way. Like that doesn't seem like a world that I could even be into.
I, I,
But
I,
now it's like you can't even see working out later than the day, right, Raiken? It's like
yeah.
impossible.
I mean, I don't think that everybody has the luxury of being able to choose their schedule like that, but if you guys follow us, you're probably following us because you're selling on eBay or Amazon FBA or selling locally, or you're an entrepreneur or something. And I think the cool thing is, as an entrepreneur, we get to choose our schedule in a sense, and we get to choose kind of like, I guess, our levels of happiness, right? Like having that chi or not having it, having that energy, feeling connected. So, I mean, I think it's important to take a look at your life and ask yourself, do I want to be up early? Do I want to be up late? Not only what's most productive, but what makes you feel the best, right?
Yeah, and look at the routines. Like look at what you do when you come home. Pay attention to what's in your hands. Like are you on the cell phone surfing, Facebook and Instagram for 2 hours of your life? That's a very unproductive routine, honestly. Like let's face it.
Let's talk about some routines a little more, like different routines that we have, and then we'll kind of we'll shift into like, all right, how do we start to build a routine and how do we build those habits and whatnot? But let's talk about a few more routines that we have in our life. Let's talk about our morning routine, right? We talked about getting to bed early. For me personally, I like my sweet spot is realistically 10 to 11 o'clock at night. There's times where I'm exhausted. And when Jameson was over here, he's a green room member. He was staying at my house for a week. There was one night I went to bed at 8 because I was just super tired. I ended up getting a cold. So maybe that was the reason. But, sometimes you got to listen to your body and get to bed super early. But my sweet spot's like 10 to 11. I was waking up every day at 5 in the morning, and consistently, it's a challenge. My sweet spot waking up is somewhere between 6 and 7. More towards 6 is like my really, really nice sweet spot. But let's talk about the morning routines. You get to bed, 10, 11, 12. I think you're kind of in the same area, Chris.
I'm in the same area. I get minimum
So
6 hours, trying to get 8, but it's tough. It's harder than you think. It really is.
So you wake up in the morning. What's your sweet spot? And then let's talk about your first 2 hours of your day. Again, for me, it switches all the time, and it might for you as well. But let's kind of talk about your routine. Do you have a routine, or the things you consistently do? Do you mind sharing any of that?
The routine that I underwent about a half a year ago is when I started it. But it was actually inspired by The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. And if you look at his routine, you start realizing, like, man, this guy's really doing a lot with his day, right? And you got to understand that he's filming at the latter part of his day. He's waking up around 3:45 in the morning. He's at the gym by like 4:30. He's out of the gym by 6. I mean, this guy has it down. He actually outlays. You can find it if you research hard enough. You can find it on Google, like what his routine is. So that inspired my routine, which then again we talked with Steve, and then Steve was like, "Yeah, let's try that out together." And my sweet spot's somewhere between that 5 and 6 range. I like to be back from the gym and have my first smoothie in before 8 o'clock in the morning. So I think that's important in my routine.
Well, let's take a stop real quick. You wake up in the morning. I know you're going to the gym, but what's in between that? Are you drinking water? Are you eating? What's
That's a good point. I'm in the middle of an experiment that's lasted about 2 months right now, where I wake up and I'm fasting, right? I'm waking up and I'm taking in, I'll tell you right now, I wake up, I usually put a hat on, I put a pair of shorts on, I'll put a tank top on, then I'll put a little like light jacket on, and then I will down, if I can, 2 pretty tall cups of water, like the kind of cups that you would get at a restaurant, if you were to walk away with a cup. So about 2 of those cups of water.
Because I believe water, or with ice cubes,
no,
or just
no, I don't. I would never go cold water because that's just it kind of like locks up your system. Like you can't take it down as fast. So like I make sure that it's right out of the tap. So it's basically lukewarm water or whatever temperature I decide. And then from there, I fill up a pretty big, looks like a 1 liter thing of, maybe a half a liter of coffee, black coffee, and water, diluted, right? So, and then with that, I take it to the gym. By the time I pull into the parking lot, I make sure to have about a quarter of that drank already. So that way the coffee's hitting me in my warm-ups, when I'm in the gym. I warm up in the gym because that's a very important part of a physical fitness routine, is to warm up. Maybe when you're younger, it's not so important, but like as you get older, trust me, if you don't want injuries, you must warm up. We do a very extensive warm-up. I've shared with Raiken my shoulder warm-up. I do abdominal warm-ups. All these warm-ups like we do, it's very important. Even down to before we get into our working sets of whatever we're working on, we even warm up there too. And that was inspired by Kai Green, who is a professional bodybuilder. But anyway, Then we go through our routine. I go through my routine. He goes through the same routine. And then I come home and I have, one of the routines when you deal with physical fitness is once you're done with the gym, you kind of have this like 30-minute to maybe 45-minute window to get your smoothie in. It's very important, right? And you don't want any real hard food, but you want a smoothie, something that can be easily digestible and something that provides your stomach the ability to slow down metabolism. Like you want something in your stomach to where the blood that was around your muscles, around your head, everywhere else in your body starts going toward your stomach again, right? And so that's the whole concept behind the smoothie is that you launch it in your system, blood goes to it, processes everything, easily absorbable because your muscle fibers are torn. After a workout, that's exactly what's happening. And then about an hour later, you want to have solid food. Usually, for me and Raiken, it's like eggs, sweet potato type stuff. I could do guacamole, avocado, sometimes bacon, salsa. Usually, I put that together. Maybe with some
Bacon?
orange
Did I hear
juice.
bacon?
Oh, bacon's great. Like if you see the thing with bacon is the more fat that you see on the bacon, the more I don't want to touch it. But the more crispy it is, and the more red it is, that's just basically meat at that point, right? So then that's where I launched that part in, and that kind of completes my morning routine right there. Is like if I can get to that part successfully, down to that first true meal, and I can have that first true meal maybe by 9 o'clock in the morning, I know that that day is going to be a good day. For example, I'll be very productive on a day like that.
Cool, man. Yeah. Our routines are definitely a little pretty similar. There's a few differences. One thing that I really like that you're doing is you're drinking the water. For me, typically, I'll wake up, brush my teeth, do all that stuff, throw some water on my face, get woken up a little bit. If I'm super, super tired, I have a trampoline that's right next to my bed, and I'll jump up and down in that for about 5 minutes. And that's really, really good for getting blood flowing through your body. And also, it's been proven to strengthen your lymphatic system, which is, great for, I think the lymphatic system's responsibility is clearing out toxins and detoxifying. It has a lot to do with your immune system, which I need a lot of work on, but that's another topic. But if I'm really tired, I'll jump on the trampoline for a couple minutes. Again, it changes every day. If I wake up and I'm stressed out or I just don't feel right, I'll take 5 minutes and do some meditation. And there's all different types of meditation you can do. For me, I like to do breathing, like focused breathing meditation where, I'll breathe in for like 5 seconds and hold it for like 10 or 15 seconds and just stay 100% still with my eyes closed, crisscross for about 5 minutes. And that just, I don't know if you guys are ever feeling overwhelmed or stressed, meditation's like the best way to kind of like brings like a warmth, like a relaxation to your body. So if I'm like super tired and I know like, I don't want to down a bunch of coffee, I'll jump on the trampoline for 5 minutes. Or if I'm stressed, I'll do a little bit of meditation. But then after that, I'll typically go downstairs, all dressed up to go to the gym typically, and I'll drink water. My difference is I usually put lemon in my water. And I've been kind of having some issues behind the scenes with like getting sick often in my immune system. So I'm trying to like rev up as much as possible, things that are going to be, correspond with a healthy immune system. So, lemon's really good for that. So I usually drink typically 1 or 2 glasses of lemon water. And then while I'm doing that, I'm typically reading my goals. And once I'm done with reading my goals, I usually have something after that playing while I'm getting ready, like something inspirational, whether it's Tony Robbins or Les Brown or Think and Grow Rich or some type of positive audiobook. I love listening to inspirational stuff first thing in the morning. There's so much awesome stuff on YouTube. And then, after that, I'm grabbing the coffee. I'm sipping the coffee just like Chris was, headed to the gym, getting in my workout and, post-workout smoothie, hour later having my meal, and then typically I'm diving into my day. So I think a lot of similarities, but just a few differences. Real quick, one thing I want to say is changes. The core routine is there, but it changes whether there's meditation or maybe I'm doing affirmations or I'm doing rebounding, or sometimes, one thing I like to do in the morning too, I forgot to mention, and I've been doing this experiment for like probably about a month, is apple cider vinegar diluted with water, sprinkled with lemon inside of it. There's like a lot of really good benefits to that, not only with energy, but also boosting your immune system and enzymes and vitamins and minerals and stuff. So what I do is I get a glass of water, fill it up with maybe like, I don't know, a couple ounces of water, put in about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, with mother. If you're ever looking for it, make sure it has the mother in it. I don't know what it means, but everyone says to get it. And sprinkle a little lemon in it, and I tell you, that's a great way to get your day started. But yeah, that's about it for my morning routine.
Yeah, morning routines are really, really important. We should toss it out to the feed, really quick, without writing a crazy paragraph. Like if you had to say your top 3 things in your morning routine, put that into the comment feed. I'd be curious to see what's going on. And plus, like, put into the comment feed, like maybe your greatest, what you want to incorporate in your in your morning routine, but you haven't figured out a way to do it. Or you haven't figured out a habit to adopt. Let's figure out where the weakness is too, because that's important. We don't want to tutor our own horns or anything like that, but this show is all about helping you guys out, in the long run. And we're just basically disclosing our morning routines. So hopefully to the people that watch this after the fact, you guys realize like, oh, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. Right. And it's not about maybe, I mean, you can absolutely do it. Cause there was a point in my life where I was like, there's no way I'm going to wake up at, 5 or 6 and work out that. But then, for me, it took seeing that The Rock did it, right, and Dwayne Johnson did it. And I look up to Dwayne Johnson. I think he's an amazing guy. I think he's one of the highest. I think he is the highest paid actor of our time right now. And I've watched him behind the scenes. I've seen him on Instagram. And the guy cares about his fans a whole lot. You don't really see that a lot in some of these people, but he cares a whole lot about his fans. He does fun movies. Plus he's in the Fast and the Furious and he's a monster. Like, it's just cool. Like, if he wants a goal achieved, like, this guy will make it happen. A lot of times, if you look at the background in his gym pics, there's nobody in the gym. It's just this guy. It's just him. So you got to think about, like, who is you got to think about that motivation. Like, think about this, Raiken. Like, if we were to head in the gym in the morning and there's no one in it, not a single soul but yourself, as empowering as that might feel, how weird does it feel too, right? It would be a very weird feeling, right?
Yeah, for sure. I actually have a lot of people when I go to the gym. There's times I go at 5 a.m. There's actually a good amount of people because there's
tons.
There's like, it makes you like, I remember the times, like, I want to shift over in a second to like really bad morning routines, but like, I remember there were times when I was younger, man, I'm waking up at noon, like 1 in the afternoon, like crazy, right? And these people are waking up at 5 a.m. and you think to yourself, who does that? Well, you go in the morning and you learn real quick how many people got their game on point. Like, isn't it amazing? You walk in at 5 a.m. and you'll see like 60 people there and you're like, holy crap, like, I'm not alone. Like, people are getting to bed early and making it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, when I go to the gym, I see the same people like over and over and over. In fact, one of the trainers at the gym like came up to me, or I came up to him the other day, and we were talking. He was eating some chicken and rice, kind of like staple bodybuilding meal kind of thing. And he came down from 330 pounds to about 180. Like, his success story is like in the making, but he was like, I just want to be half as good as your body. He was looking at him. I was like, dude, why don't you just come train with me? And this was yesterday. Like, we did our first training session. Not that we're going to do a whole bunch more, but he was just like, I just need to get around positive people. And I think it'll just change. Change will just happen to me. Right. And so I'm just training. I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I'm training a trainer that works out of this gym. That is like kind of bizarre. But then again, if you look at where I saw pictures of this guy, and man, he was huge. I mean, he was just big, like big cheeks and everything. And now if you look at him, he looks kind of like one of us. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I don't know what his motivation was, but he made it happen. You surround yourself with positive kind of stuff. He became a trainer, right? My guess is he wasn't a trainer before, because if you're a trainer and you're 330 pounds, it's kind of weird, right? It just doesn't make much sense. But he became a trainer. He embraced himself into that lifestyle. And like Raiken said, sometimes you'd be surprised when you go early in the morning, like how many people are on their game and working out. I see the same people every morning. And it's like, I figure out that those people right there have their routines down so perfect. You know what I'm saying? But if I was to go around 3 or 5, which was my normal times, I would see about 70% of the same people, right? Some of those people go earlier. But when I go at 5 or 6 in the morning, I see these same people all the time. Like, it's almost 100% every time. It's weird.
What do you think the average routine is? If you have to take a wild guess, and just based on, I've got plenty of friends where I've asked them and I kind of know what their routine's like. I mean, from your understanding, what would you say the average person, right? What would you say their average morning routine is like? The person who works the 9 to 5 and, just an average person. If you had to guess, or maybe talk about maybe someone don't mention their name, but what's the average person's routine like?
This is pure speculation, but I have a feeling that most people, the average person probably has a kid by now and everything like that. They have a house, they have bills that they need to get paid and everything. So probably one, if not two, working people in the family, 9 to 5, or maybe an 8 to 4, whatever you call it. Either way, it's still hours. My guess is they're waking up around 6:30, right? You know, hastily putting on clothes and combing hair just to get by the next day, and making breakfast for kids, more than likely, right? Just doing things like that, responsible things that parents should be doing. Probably taking the kids to school, responsible things as well, or maybe bring your kids to the school bus stop or something like that. And then going off to work, right? Wife or husband might stay home, vice versa. Someone might be working, someone might not be working. Both people might be working, who knows? Going to work, maybe dreaming a couple times like, oh, I have an idea. I wish I could make it come to light. I really don't like working here, you know what I'm saying? But I have a fantastic idea. I just don't know where to start. I think that's probably common in people's heads. They break away for lunch instead of going outside.
A lot of reacting, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think in lunchtime they probably go outside. They might go outside. They might not. They might stay in a cubicle, room, whatever. I think it's important to get some sun, but likely the average person doesn't do that. And then they work until about 4 or 5, getting reamed on by a boss. If you're sedentary, you're in a cubicle, or you're sitting in one spot, that's probably the most poisonous type job you could ever have. You definitely want, if you're going to do a 9 to 5, I would suggest that you get something where you're traveling in a car, or you are walking around, or something like that. Maybe an active sales type job or something where you're standing most of the time as opposed to sitting. They come home. I think their intentions, and they know it's good to do some physical fitness, maybe take a walk or something like that in the evening before dinner. But they know they have the underlying desire to do better things with their lives. Like they want to go get into fitness, but they don't understand how to do it with the kids and everything like that. Before you know it, bedtime comes, and you're repeating your life over and over again. I think that's what it is.
I have a lot of friends who live that lifestyle, and they have a lot of ideas, tons of ideas. That's the most common thing I hear from them is these ideas. But they have to wake up in the morning and go to work, and they immediately wake up, react, jump out of bed. They're at work. A lot of them aren't up a couple hours early. They're at work. You know how it is when you work a normal job. It's exhausting. You're on your feet all day. You're getting yelled at by a boss. You come home, you're starving, you eat a dinner, and you're kind of in this coma watching TV, and the day's over. So let's talk giving advice for people who are listening right now, and maybe they're working the 9 to 5, or they're in that routine where they're just reacting. How do they start to build routines? There's people very close to me that I love and respect that they can't build these routines. Well, they say they can't because they always say, I don't have the time. So how do people start building these routines for health, these routines for building up extra income when they claim that they have no time?
I would get to bed earlier. That's the first thing. Get to bed earlier, because likely those last 2 hours of the night, there's nothing productive going on. I mean, outside of maybe what Raiken Pan's saying, like, don't forget tucking the kids to bed. Don't forget to get a good dinner. That's true. But, maybe your dinner should be on a little bit more on the lighter side. A lot of people, like, when they finally get home, they're like, oh, I'm starving. It could be dehydration for all you know. Like, a lot of the times, anytime that you think you're starving or you're hungry, your body is telling you it needs water, right? But people misinterpret that, and they go, okay, I'm going to put salty foods in my stomach. I'm going to eat a whole bunch. I'm going to eat 3 servings instead of 1 serving of dinner. And then before you know it, you've woken up. You haven't burned those calories off. You're slowly gaining weight. That's typically what I see. So I would say, and I've been in boats that are way crazier than that. I've been full-time MBA school, full-time job, waking up at 6 in the morning, getting my workout in, because I knew that by the time I come home around 4 o'clock, that I had to be at the MBA school around 5:15. And with Austin traffic, then I was like, and I picked that life for 2.5 years of my life, and I did it. Crazy. And after I got off of MBA school, which is around 7:30, right? So 5:30 to 7:30, about 4 to 5 days a week, I went to a coffee shop from 7:30 to 12:30 at night, 5 days a week. I did that for 2.5 years of my life. I did lose a girlfriend in that mix. I made it happen, but I lost a girlfriend in the mix too, because I just had no more time. But physical fitness is one of those things that was very important to me. I never let it go. However, I was also, I had 1 dog. I didn't have any kids. There are a lot of things that I realized if I had kids or anything like that, I think things would have drastically changed. I'd probably have to do a home gym at that point, maybe some P90X type stuff. But either way, if you're thinking like, I have to make it to a gym, that's the only way I can get things done and start getting my mind to think differently. I think the physical fitness thing is something that is so underrated out there, but people know that it's a good thing to do. They don't really realize it until you get to a level that I'm at, or Raiken is starting to get to, where you start realizing that this absolutely helps in the way that you think, the way that you feel about yourself, your confidence level, everything. Like your longevity, like your statistics on longevity start increasing. There's so much that comes from physical fitness. No one really understands. They just like, oh, I just gotta stay fit because it's the cool thing to do. No, you gotta stay fit because it releases important hormones in your body that regulate. That if you're under testosterone, if you're a male and you're under testosterone, you're a male. If you're a female and you're under not RDA, but your levels of estrogen and all this kind of stuff. Man, life sucks. It feels awful. Apparently, I don't know what it feels like, but my doctor yesterday was telling me, because I went in for a physical, that when males have low T, for example, it. Like something is so off and it doesn't feel right. It can come in as early as like 26 years old in life, but typically it hits males around mid to late 30s, and then around the 40s and 50s, you should definitely be getting tested out. But this is well-being right here. I mean, this is like, if you have low T, right, you have a chance of like not making it to 70 years old. I mean, that's essentially what's going on. Like, this is a way to survive. So I want people to understand that physical fitness is for longevity, but physical fitness will absolutely make your confidence higher. Raiken, a year ago, right, you're kind of dwindling in the gym and everything like that. I say dwindling because you're kind of like a sheet in the wind. Like, wherever the wind goes, like, you were going with it, right? I mean, honestly, like, because I worked out every time we had a green room hangout where, here in Austin, summertime, Raiken would come down and he'd work out, but he would never work out with me. Because I guess he was just viewing like his routine's too crazy, I can't hang with him. And I was fine. Like, no, I don't blame him, but I would have.
And I had some injuries and stuff.
Yeah, he had some injuries. He was just basically like making a bunch of excuses. Like, I ain't gonna lie. But now it's like, you get on a routine, you got on something very promising, and you're done your warm ups and all that kind of stuff. You're waking up early.
Yep.
Can you see yourself going back?
No, I love it. Like, not only for confidence, but energy wise, and just, I don't know, it makes you feel good. For me, like, someone asked me the other day, like, what's happiness for you? Like, how, like, what does it take to be happy? For me, like, happiness is progressing. Like, I like the fact that, I'm going into the gym and I'm progressing and I can see it. Although I need to clean up my diet a little bit, because you could build muscle, but if you're not losing the fat, it's hard to see it as much. But my lifts are going up, my strength is increasing, I'm feeling better in the gym, and I definitely, I can't see myself going back. This is a routine that I've kept up for, I don't know how long it's been. How long have you been training me, Chris?
Probably 4 months now, I would say. We've gone through so many different routines. Like, I've built you a lot of them, but
it takes a while to get a hang of it, right? I've been dealing with some issues behind the scenes, which I'm trying to work out. But I've stayed consistent, 90% of the time with my workouts. And, let's talk about, how does somebody get into a routine? People want to start working out. They want to start walking or running. How do you go from being, somebody who's just screwing around on the side like I was, a year ago, to making it to the point where, like, when I wake up, like, that's the first thing I do 5 days a week. I'm, implementing cardio as well. How do you go from looky-loo to having that routine, and there's no negotiations? You're going to do it.
I think people have to understand, first of all, where most of their time is going in their given day. So you have to look at your life and go, okay, if I'm an entrepreneur, we have a little bit more of an advantage, like Raiken stated earlier in this video. But if you don't have that kind of time and you have kids, you got all these things going on, you got to pick them up from school, this and that, you have transit with traffic, going to work, back, that smokes up a ton of time right there. I don't care what anybody says, but you could easily smoke up 2 to 4 hours right there with traffic and taking kids to school, picking them up. That could be 2 to 4 hours right there. So you have to figure out where your time is going. Very important, because once you can see, like, this is where my time is going, this is where I'm spending my time, then I would take some of that time. If you think like it's hopeless, I can't do anything, first of all, that time you could have something going on in the car, right? I think it's important to hear audibly someone talking about fitness, for example, right? Hearing, podcasts that are fitness oriented. That way, the more you surround yourself, you ever seen that DVD, The Secret? And it's like, the more that you surround yourself with what you want to become, you just become it, right? But I think ultimately what you want to do is you want to find yourself into a gym or a workout program that does classes or yoga or bar or any one of those things. You want to get around other people. I think that's very important. It's a little bit different, when people are like, oh, I ordered Insanity, or I ordered P90X, or I ordered Billy Blanks' Tybo. How good has that worked out for you on the long run, right? It's usually a 30-day kind of thing, a 2-week kind of thing, and then it's done. Like, you're like, okay, I ain't gonna watch that the rest of my life, and then you kind of give up, you gain weight again. What the reason why it worked for Raiken, and I told him when we first began this whole thing, is like, Raiken, I need you to do 58 days of consecutive, like, you need to stay with this for 58 days, right? And we worked on his diet slowly. We're even working on it right now, but we worked on it slowly. But the workout part was like, I need you to go into the gym and get this routine done 58 days straight. Not straight at working out, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to go 60 days, let's just say 60, to have a true habit formed, right? Once the habit was formed, now Raiken and I are working on 30 days of diet. We're on our 30th day of documenting our diet, you and me. Once we get to that 60, I know. But once we get to that 60-day mark, I'll drop you off. At that point, you'll realize, like, I know what Chris is eating. I know what's right to eat. I know I'm deficient here or this deficient there. And 60 days, that's the key. There's just, outside of P90X, there just is no 60-day kind of thing. So that's where the gym fits in, right? You got to go to a physical place, location. A lot of these have kid daycare too, so don't be fooled. Like, a lot of them have daycare involved. If you spend $20 to $30 a month, they allow you to drop your kids off in the daycare section. So still no excuses, guys. You got to get out there and do it. But get around those classes, man. Those, like, muscle pump classes, the body fat burn classes, even if your flexibility sucks and you're just getting into the gym, they have, super, super low flexibility type stuff where it breaks you in slower. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Even yoga, you don't have to do the perfect poses, but you got to get into the swing of things. Before you know it, your flexibility is going to start changing. You're going to wake up with less pains in the day. And then you're going to want to go to the gym. You're going to realize, like, this is actually working. You got to stick with it for about 58 to 60 days. That's where the habit is born.
One thing I'd like to say, just based on my experience over this, last 6 to 12 months since I've been working out on my own, and then I linked up with Chris, is, think long-term. Don't think like I've got to make all these gains in like 2 weeks, or lose all this weight like instantly, or like drop my calories from like 2,500 to like 1,500. That's one thing that I've learned, from my research and also from working with Chris, is, think long term, right? How many people are going to be successful if you drop your calories from 2,500 to 1,800 calories? Like, you're going to binge out eventually. How many people are going to be successful if you've never worked out before and then all of a sudden you're in the gym 5 days a week? Like, I remember I think we got started with like 3 days a week, and then we went to like 4 days and then 5 days. Like, start slow, like, take it easy. Like, if you're like never moving and never exercising, like, realize that's where you are, and you're going to slowly adapt. Twice a week, go out for a walk, and then maybe one of those days you add a little working out, and then maybe 3 days a week, a couple weeks later, like, build yourself up to it. The body adapts fairly quickly, and the body loves shock, but at the same time, the mind doesn't like when you just smash it like to pieces, like instantly overnight. Like, you've got to let it like work your way up to it. So that's just one thing that's helped for me a lot.
Yeah, another thing that's going to help a lot of people out there is look at your closest friends, right? Your 5 closest people, look at the shape that they're in. For example, physical fitness, we talk about that. Look at your 5 closest friends. What do they look like? Do they look jacked, ripped, obese, fat? You just got to look at that and conceptually go, okay, this probably isn't going to help me very much. I'm not telling you to not hang out with them. I'm telling you to realize that sometimes life is stacked up against you pretty quickly, and you're going to have to start making these decisions and start getting around other people that you want to become. That's the reason why, and this is the part about a gym that I completely disagree with, and this is why I don't like certification processes with physical fitness, personal trainer kind of things, is because anybody can just go get physically fit, like certified, like personal training certified. Does that make sense? Like, you look at some of these trainers in the gym, I think they should look badass. Like, that's just me. Because if you're coming into a gym, you're like, you got to, everything starts with, like, when I was a little kid, I was looking at Van Damme and I was like, I want that one day. I want to be a Van Damme. I want to be a Schwarzenegger. I want to be, the people from Baywatch. I just want to look like that. Like, why can't I? Like, and I was like, this is dumb. Like, I'm able to do whatever I want in this life. Like, I should be able to look like this. And the funny thing is, like, a couple of years ago, I, did a little flexi thing in my garage, and I took pictures and I compared it to like Van Damme. And I was like, holy crap, like, I am way more jacked than this dude was, like, in his prime. And I'm like, I just unconsciously went in that direction. That's just what happened, because things start. You have to see, and that's the reason why personal trainers, I don't like it when I see a personal trainer that's just not what someone else wants to become. Like, I don't know why. Knowledge is only so much, but who cares what you know here? If you're in the physical fitness industry, you have to look the part. You just have to, because that's what people understand. It's like going to it's like going to Wall Street. Like, I want to invest a whole lot of money, and then this like homeless person kind of walks by you and it's like, hey, I got a stock tip for you. I'll give it to you right now, but you got to pay me.
That's
And
the way
it
it is
doesn't
with
make any sense.
a lot of these stock guys and these mutual fund managers. It's like, oh, invest in this stock. Well, are you invested in it? No.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's very, yeah, exactly. But it's very weird, to me, it's very weird. So I'm not sitting there hating on any of that kind of stuff or whatever. And maybe they're on their way to becoming something better, and I get it. But I just feel as if
Sure.
if you're going to charge someone, I don't like it when I see a client that looks better than the person that's training him.
No.
That looks weird to me.
Anyways, let's stay on topic with routines, and we've got about 10 or 15 minutes left. Let's switch things up a little bit, Chris, and talk about some routines that could benefit somebody more on a business level. Now, obviously, everything we're talking about with health, it actually will benefit you because you're going to have more energy, you're going to have more confidence. It's really important. But let's talk about some routines that we have in our business. What's a routine that you have, maybe, Chris, when it comes to eBay? Let's talk eBay. I'll talk, and then you go first.
Yeah, so I'll give you kind of 3 tips of my routine with eBay. I know that for me personally, like, I don't like clutter. So it's very important to me that if I come back with some stuff that's eBay goods, it's so easy to shop. Let's face it, it's easy to buy. It's easy to find things and apply your knowledge, right? Where people go wrong is the listing portion and putting it in boxes, and it becomes this hoard of stuff in your garage. And then someone asks for a product, they're like, hey, ship it to me. And you're like, crap, I can't find it. Like, this sucks. So I know 3 things that make my routine right. One is I don't touch my eBay items until I'm absolutely ready to take pictures of them, and then after the pictures, they go straight into boxes. So that is one of the routines that I absolutely adopt. The second routine is having a box wall. I love it. I think it's really important that having something ready when someone's like, oh, someone bought my item, boom, I go to the box wall, I find it, I'm not stressed out. That's good. Anytime that you can reduce the stress in your life, you're reducing all kinds of things, cortisol production. We don't have time to be stressed out. Even as entrepreneurs, you'd be thinking like, oh, you can live this relaxing lifestyle. Like, who cares if you're stressed out? No, honestly, like, stress really, really messes with us. And so we have to reduce it all the time. My third thing I want to give to you guys is when it comes to eBay specifically, one of my routines is, don't really take the picture until everything is lit perfectly right. Like, don't just take a ghetto picture because you're close to a camera, which is close to a floor. You're like, the floor looks halfway decent, I'm gonna take it. Non-distracting background, right? No, you got to get your non-distracting background plus your lighting correct. I'm not talking about lights from all sides, but at least get a front lit sort of thing going on, and then take your pictures that way. So there you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of different routines out there when it comes to eBay. For me, like, one thing that you touched on was being organized. I think that's super, super important. Like, for example, like, I've seen a lot of people after they list their items, they kind of just throw it everywhere. And then when it sells, they're trying to hunt it down, and maybe once in a while they can't find the item and they have to cancel the order, which is horrible for your feedback. So one thing I like to do is once I list all my items, I like to organize it. I have a little system of my own, and it's changed over the years based on, moving different environments. But having a system to be able to locate your items. After you list your items, bring it, organize it, have it ready to be shipped off. One of my routines that I want to talk about is putting your items that you need to list somewhere where you're going to see it. Right? It's so easy to buy, right? How easy is it to go to the thrift store and search through the racks, or pick up an RC car or a bicycle or whatever it is, and buy it, and then you store it away. But you got to make sure that you list it. You've got to have a listing routine. And again, this has changed for me, but when I was doing eBay full time, one of my routines was I would bring my items into a certain location. I was actually living at my parents' house about 3 years ago, and I would bring all my clothes. I was clothing full time, and I would put it on the couch, right? I used to have a hanging mannequin over in my parents' living room. Like, literally, this was like so gangsta. But I would put all my items in a certain location. I would take all my pictures, and I would have a routine of how many I wanted to do every day. So for me, it was 10 per day. Right? So I was doing like 60 or 70 per week. And that was my routine. That was my goal. And I knew if I wanted to hit a certain amount of sales, I had to list a certain amount per day. So those are definitely a couple of my routines. But get into a listing routine. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take this routine thing to Amazon real quick. Then maybe we can touch on finances for a second. But with the Amazon routine, when we're dealing with fourth quarter kind of stuff, I don't like to let any time pass. Like
Get it
when I
out,
buy something and like, oh, I'm trying to ship it out like literally that day.
especially
That's
if it's
just
a
the way it
retail item.
works. Oh yeah, if it's big box store related, that's it. Like that's just the way it is. Anything other related, since we're content creators, a lot of times I try to do a bona fide fresh finds video in the green room. I try to do that, and then I will put it in a nice section of my office. And when that section becomes relatively full, then I will, make an FBA shipment. But for the most part, I look at that on a regular weekly routine. Basically, I look at that and kind of go, okay, is it time to send something out? When it comes to a daily routine with Amazon, of course, I'm on the Amazon seller app and I'm looking at my stats for my store. And I'm also checking out my feedback on a probably every
So
other
important.
day, checking my feedback and making sure nothing negative comes around, because this ain't the quarter that you want a negative feedback to like
You also
affect
want
you.
to make sure to check that you're not getting any inbox messages from people, because you have to. If you don't return that message within 24 hours, you actually
Right.
get dinged on your feedback.
If it's a personal question of the item, yes. If it's a product question of the item, you don't have to respond. There's something like that, and other people can respond to that. Like it's kind of weird, but
Right,
I
right,
know.
yeah, yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and then yeah, after that, what else do I do with Amazon? Amazon's kind of like a self-sustaining. I wish I could say that I ship a whole. I mean, usually in the summertime I ship more because the garage sales are just more lucrative and better. But us working on the Green Room University and Green Room behind the scenes, it has made us. It's given us a reduction in time in thrifting, which is not good, but also we're building a business. And any way that you look at it, time is of the essence. I wish, Raiken, if we could just have more time and no sleep at all. If humans didn't require any sleep, how great would that be, man? We would be like on top of the world. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And yeah, there's so many opportunities in a world like this, and we're just trying to capitalize on a couple of them. So
yeah,
at least I still get some time. You still get some time to thrift. I see you thrifting like a couple times a week.
yeah.
I go thrifting about once a week, sometimes twice, and I definitely go garage sales every weekend. That's as much as I can handle right now with the workload of the workout channel plus the Green Room University. So it's a lot of fun, but we've picked our battles, and this is just what we want to mess with at this point.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose your focuses. There's only so many things that you can spend your time on, right? You don't want to spread yourself too thin. So it's going to be different for each and every one of you. But take a look at your life. Ask yourself what's most important to you, right? I know a lot of people. It's their business, it's their family, and it's their health. I mean, start to nail down what are different actions that you can do, to attain your goals in each area of life, and just start doing it on a regular basis. Build your routines that way. For me, health is the most important thing for me. So I like to do it first thing in the morning. Like I want to make sure that I've taken care of that aspect. And then after that, it's business, right? Well, family and relationships, but there's only so much I can do with that when everyone's out at work. So business is going to come secondly, during the normal work week and whatnot. But start to ask yourself, what's most important? What are my goals? What do I want to achieve? Start doing those things and do them long enough until that habit starts to turn into like it turns into a real habit. That action turns into a habit, which turns into a routine. So it's so important, guys. It's so important to take a look at your life every now and then. Ask myself, what am I doing every day? What is my habits? What is my rituals? What are my routines? Why am I doing this? Like take a day and just analyze your life. Ask yourself why. What's my purpose? What do I want to achieve? And I think it's just really important to self-reflect from time to time, because we get so caught up in the rat race. We get so caught up in just doing, right? Just running our businesses, doing what we always do, and we never really ask ourselves, like, is there a better way?
Yeah, I
So
think a lot of people have, they got routines that they're comfortable. I mean, that's the thing. Comfort is usually what most people fall into. And I mean, everyone's been there. We've all been there. And comfort is great for money standards, like, right? But getting uncomfortable usually leads to incredible change in your life. Because the reason why, I'll tell you why, because anytime you make a conscious decision to change something in your life, the fact that you're choosing is so important. A lot of people are like, they're like, oh, I know it's good to be fit, but then they take no action, right? The reason why you need to take action, for example, and we say fit because if you're not fit, who cares how much money you have? And who cares what the family structure looks like, right? If you exit the family structure because you can't hang, I mean, essentially, what good, family first, yeah, but if you have to be fit to enjoy the family too, just like money. Um, So when we take it back and you have to make a choice, like, and usually the choice, I think a lot of people in America have, and, we live in a decade where people are actually choosing more fitness and more good things for their mind, walking, but you have to choose, because when you choose, you either win or you fail. Like, right? It's very important, right? But if you fail, you usually don't repeat that again, right? So you try to choose again, right? You're going to win or fail. Let's say you win the next time. All right, that's pretty good. Makes, maybe you're starting to walk 2 miles a morning or something like that. Choose again. You at every stop sign you do 10 push-ups, right? Okay, well, the next day you hurt in your chest region, but the day after that you feel fine. Hey, you know what? That's probably a win to me. Choose again, right? And you keep choosing. You have to keep going, because when you choose, there are only 2 outcomes. But the fact that you go forward means that you get more of those fails under your belt. And no human being is just going to sit there and fail constantly. Eventually you win, and then you do more of the winning things, and you keep doing it again and again. You realize, holy crap, I've built a habit. You know what I'm saying? I've built a really good routine, right? But all it came from was a small choice. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people are so afraid to make those choices. I think that's man, it's like, what is life at that point, right? What is life? Like, who is running your life? You or someone else? Like, I have to run my life.
The
Raiken
idea
has
is
to run his
always
life.
the idea is always scarier than what it's actually like. Like, we have this. What is that acronym for fear? False evidence appearing real, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people, they'll say, like, working out's going to, maybe it is. A lot of people are going to say, oh, working out's going to have all this pain. It's going to be so horrible. Like, they have this idea of what it is. But fear, again, the acronym fear, false evidence appearing real, they think something's going to be a certain way. So they don't make the decision. Like, they don't quit because they say, oh, my life's going to be hell. Right. Like, I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day 5-6 years ago. And I quit, and I just made the decision, and I just did it, right? But there was a million reasons why I didn't have to do it. So give yourself a chance.
Yeah, there was a time in my life, actually, when I worked for Philip Morris USA, there was a part in my life where I smoked 1 cigarette a night. It was just my like calm down kind of thing, right? And I talked to my dad about it, who was a retired anesthesiologist from MD Anderson. And I was like, Dad, like, is this a bad thing? He's like, honestly, like, statistically in life, he's like, something else is probably going to kill you. Like, just the way it is. He's a realist. Like, he plays with statistics. He just knows how it is. I was like, okay. But then I thought to myself, like, I was a really avid mountain biker back then, still am now, but back then I was really into it. And I was like, I wonder what happens if I don't smoke the cigarette, right? So I acted, right? I had a choice, and I was like, no cigarette for, let's say, a week, right? I acted, and I did it. And guess what happened? Like, it wasn't a fail. I was like, holy crap, my mountain biking, like, instead of being done in about an hour in the trail, I was going like an hour and 15 minutes. I was going an hour and 30, like full blast, like into the trail, killing people on the trail, just like blasting people. I was like, this is interesting. I was like, okay, so I have another choice. I could go back to the cigarette, or I can stay with this one. And I chose, I'll stay with this one, right? And see what happens. Became even better mountain biker, right? So I think it was important for me to experiment too. And that's the reason why, like, what's 1 cigarette a day? Like, what's, when you're stuck in a crazy routine, right? Kids, family, all this kind of stuff. You're overweight. You don't feel good. You're not listing enough stuff on eBay. Small things, right? Small things. One small choice, right? Evaluate what happens after that. Look at it. Go, okay, was that a win? Was that a fail? Oh, that was a win. Cool. Another choice. Make another one, right? And keep going. That's just, it's really the easiest part. Like Raiken said, a lot of people are fearful that when you make a choice to do something, like, no one's going to agree with you. It's going to feel weird. You're going to be alone. Problem is, anytime you make a choice and you try to do something different, I guarantee you there's always a crowd doing the different thing, right? You're going to find new friends and new people, like, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's where your support group's going to be. So you're going to have to start thinking about that kind of stuff.
Cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. We're at about the hour mark. It was a lot of fun talking about routines, not only in business, which is what this channel is pretty much centered around, but in life. I feel like a lot of people are having a hard time figuring out, like, how to have positive routines in their life and their morning routines and health and fitness and all this stuff. So hopefully we kind of shed some light on, in terms of how we do it. Definitely a lot of fun. There was a lot of interaction in the comment section. So appreciate everybody who watched live. If you do like this video, Chris, what do they have to do?
Hit the thumbs up button. Very, very important. But I have seen in the comment feed right now. A lot of green roomers are in there. So look, if you're in the green room and you haven't made it over to Green Room Life, that's where a lot of this kind of talk is happening. I want you to go over there right now. Make a request to be in the room. Raiken and I are going to approve it today. But that's where a lot of that goes on in the green room. Of course, we know that's where all the hustler talk is. But thanks for being a member in the green room. If you're in the feed, we do thank you for that. If you do want to join the Green Room University, just check out greenroomuniversity.com. Of course, the Green Room Life is a separate Facebook page that comes with it. But that's where we talk about all aspects of everything outside of reselling. So it's really important. I'm going to be putting a lot of interesting articles into Green Room Life, probably starting today. Not a lot today, but at least one today, maybe a couple tomorrow. But these are articles that I want you guys to read through, because you could, I gave Raiken an article last night right before I went to bed. I was like, holy crap, I read a really insightful article that I was thinking about Raiken immediately as I read it. And I was like, I texted it to him. He read it this morning. He was like, oh my God, maybe this is the answer, right? Of something, right? We won't say what it is, but it's health related, right? And it's going to be good for fitness reasons and for Raiken's life. And I was like, rather than go to a Dr. Raiken and figure it all out, like, I gave you this article. He's going to experiment a little bit and see what happens. I want to make sure that article is in the Green Room Life today, because maybe you guys out there are in the same boat. Who knows? But thank you for watching the show. This is I like this kind of show because it's very, we have a small brief outline, but we get to go in these different directions and check out the feed here and there. It's a lot more fun to me to do this type of show.
And we'll be bringing on some guests too as well to talk about, different topics and stuff. Of course, we're going to be talking about business still, but we're going to try to come at it with a different angle, right? To kind of keep it fresh and unique and just different, right? I think there's a lot of value in coming at things from different opinions and ideas and just stuff of that nature. So all the good stuff that Chris was talking about down in the description. If you want to check out the Green Room, we got a free book, got a bunch of cool stuff down there. But guys, thanks for watching. If you think we should turn this into a podcast, let us know in the comments section as well. We can
for the iPod, right?
For the iPod, for the cassette player. No.
For the iPod.
If you want us to, get this on VHS for you and deliver and sell VHS copies, we will. No, but a lot of fun, guys. Let us know if you want us to turn this into a podcast. I think it would be cool. But yeah, guys, keep on rocking. Make today a great day. Make today great again. Enjoy yourselves, guys. We'll talk to you next week. We're going to have Green Room Life. Actually, not
It'll
next
probably
week.
Be Monday. It could be Monday, maybe. We could do it early one Monday, because Tuesday, Wednesday,
and all that.
Thanksgiving. Yeah. But maybe Monday we'll do it real quick for you guys.
We'll see what we can do, but we're going to be on Bonafide Hustler's channel, so follow him on YouTube at the Bonafide Hustler. Also check him out on Instagram at Boddam, Bodamn, right?
Boddamn.
Okay, double D.
Yep.
So, check him out, guys. Good stuff. But anyways, keep on rocking. We'll talk to you guys later. Smash that like button and thumbs up. See you guys.
See ya.